Everybody for being here. Welcome to our formal meeting for July 8th, 2025. We are happy to have you here and joining us in, whether you're joining us in person or whether you're joining us virtually. We hope that you'll continue to join us for our meetings in whatever way you feel most comfortable. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll please join me. Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you again. Before we go through the agenda, I just want to quickly go through registration information and our rules and standards for public meetings. We welcome everyone. The council's goal is to make these meetings a place where people feel safe and comfortable participating in their government. We invite people to help make this a welcoming space. A respectful and safe environment allows everyone in the meeting to participate in an orderly way. Our most basic rule is that any action that causes a disruption to our ability to conduct the meeting or any safety concerns involving threats or unprotected speech are not allowed. These actions or comments may result in removal from the meeting. As a reminder of our public comment registration process, individuals may register to comment on scheduled public hearing items up until the hearing is closed. For the general comment section, we will accept sign-ups until 7:30 p.m. The general comment section is limited to a maximum of 1 hour and will only include commenters who register before 7:30. So, if you are here to give general comments, please sign up and remember that not everyone who signs up may be able to comment during the general comment portion. So we will first go to the items that are scheduled for a specific public.
I'll get my medal and I'll be on your way.
Okay, we will first go to the item set for a specific public hearing, which, no, we won't. First, we're going to approve the work session meeting minutes of March 4th, 2025 and March 18th, 2025. I'll look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Pui, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we are at the public hearing section of our agenda. So these are specific items that are required to have a public hearing. So your comments need to pertain to the item that is on the agenda. Our meeting rules apply to these hearing comments as well, so please avoid disruptions, threats, or anything like that. If you would like to comment on any of these items, we will take public comment up until the point that we move on to the next agenda item. So if you decide that you want to make a comment halfway through, raise your hand or step out into the hall and fill out a comment card. We'll get you a card and you can make your comment as well. Okay. We are on, the first is a grant application for fiscal year 2026 for homeless shelter cities mitigation. And before we take, wait, nope, are we ready? I think we're ready to move forward with that one, right? Oh, we're going to start with, with a brief intro from staff. So, Sylvia, if you would step up and just give us a brief introduction to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city periodically applies for and receives grant funding, which funds some city programs. Each grant will receive a public hearing
which gives the council and the public an opportunity to learn more about the grants. As you mentioned, first is the fiscal year 2026 Homeless Shelter Cities Mitigation Grant. If approved, the grant would continue to fund 15 existing officers, 3 sergeants, and 1 lieutenant for maintaining public safety, peacekeeping, and criminal enforcement in areas surrounding qualifying shelters, as well as collaborating with social workers and community response teams to connect individuals to available services and resources. Second is the 2026 Salt Lake County Youth Advocacy Anti-Drug Coalition Grant. And if approved, that grant would fund anti-drug advocacy projects for the 2025-26 school year and provide travel to a community anti-drug coalitions conference. Third is the Utah State Board of Education Summer Food Service Program grant. And if approved, it would fund reimbursement to provide snacks to Youth City participants during the summer of 2020. Last is the Utah Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force affiliate funding grant. If approved, the grant will fund detective overtime, travel, and local training to assist in the efforts to combat internet-facilitated offenses against children. And again, as a reminder, these grants were requested by the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so if anybody has a comment on any of these 4 grants, we'll go ahead and open that time.
Council Chair, I apologize. The computer over here just crashed, so I'm trying to get it up.
Oh, okay. We're gonna. So we have to pause. Yeah, we'll just pause for a minute, and you tell me when we're ready. Welcome back. I think we're now ready to open the public comment period for those 4 grant applications. So is there anyone that's here to speak? Well, who's first on the list?
Mr. Chair, we do not have anyone registered to speak to these items.
Okay. Is there anybody here in person that wants to speak to any of them? Okay, great. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearings and refer items B1 through B4 to a future consent agenda for action.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan and a second from Councilmember Lopez Chavez. Is there any discussion to this motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to recognize one of the grant applications, which is the Utah Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force Affiliate Funding Grant. The reason that I wanted to recognize it is we've had a constituent come in multiple times. In fact, this is the first meeting that I've seen them meet in 2025. And I just wanted to let them know, for the record, that Salt Lake City is working diligently to make sure that we protect our children, and specifically are working with the Utah Attorney General's office to overcome that. That was one of the asks from this constituent. So just want to highlight that we're doing everything we can to protect our youth. And I'm really grateful that we have that opportunity today.
Thank you. Any other comments to this? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We are now at our next public comment item, which is capital improvement programs. Before we take public comments, I'll turn the time over to Kate from our staff to give us an introduction to this item.
Fiscal year 2026 annual budget adoption, the council previously held public hearings on May 20th and June 3rd for the CIP program. The council is tentatively scheduled to continue discussing CIP projects specific funding at the July 1st, July 8th, August 12th meetings, with an adoption vote of project-specific funding on August 19th. New information regarding a required $300,000 SEPTED funding request arose and requires council approval to allow the administration to move forward with their projects. The following 2 corrections are proposed to be adopted by City Council at the July 8th meeting. First, remove debt service for the second tranche of public lands GO bonds from the key changes document. Second, allow the use of the $300,000 by the administration for SEPTED lighting. All other funding will be discussed at the briefings as scheduled and approved at the August council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public commenters for this item?
Mr. Chair, we have about 13 registered to speak to this item. The first will be Rachel Taylor, followed by Jennifer Robinson, and then Peter Caroon. Rachel is here. Oh, Rachel, you may now unmute.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we
go
can
ahead.
hear.
Very good. My name is Rachel Taylor, and I've lived in the Sunnyside East area for about 30 years, just on the south side of Research Park. I have filed an application. The CIP grant would transform 2.5 acres of woody natural space from a fire hazard, per the fire marshal, into a usable nature park that the public can enjoy. The area in question is quite woody. It's on the west side of the Bonneville Golf Course driving range, and the golf course maintenance team doesn't have the resources needed to clean up or maintain this area. So the area was actually sealed off in 2019 by order of the fire marshal, and there it sits, dead space. The cost of cleaning up and making this area usable as a nature park is roughly $140,000. The remaining $2.6 million in cost represents the value of the land that will be transferred from golf to public lands. The park will include a bark path for walking, 3 benches. 2 of them will overlook the 7th and 8th holes out towards the Ochre Mountains, and we'll have some access to water, just a hose bib. Water access will enable us to take advantage of various programs we have available here locally, offering free native plants. which are better suited to adapt to climate change. So anything that we add would only need water to get established. No further irrigation is required. So it would be an area that will remain a habitat for also for our native wildlife that already frequent the area. You know, it's deer, fox, we have red-tailed hawks, great horned owls, and more. I urge the council to consider letting us repurpose this dead space to a nature park for citizens to enjoy, for all of us to enjoy. Thank you.
And next will be Jennifer Robinson, followed by Peter Caroon, and then Nicholas Wilkinson. Jennifer, you may now unmute.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am a member of the West Point community, and I am advocating for some help on Rose Park Lane. My CIP application for Rose Park Lane beautification, trail and safety improvements outline the dire need for health and safety improvements along Rose Park Lane. This project addresses the safety risks and concerns along a very busy freeway access road to I-215. Additionally, this project would extend and complete the Rose Park Lane Jordan River Trail, remove illegal overnight commercial truck parking on unfinished land, and build infrastructure to sustain commercial truck routing, redirection, residential, and rec soccer field traffic on Rose Park Lane. Just last week, my husband and I had the opportunity to walk Rose Park Lane with Mayor Mendenhall, Kim Shelley, Director of Public Lands, and their team. When they surveyed the highly trafficked and extremely dilapidated access road, they were as equally frustrated with its state as we have been. I am very thankful for the mayor and Kim's time and for the mayor's recommendation of this project. The community I am proud to be a part of is built with good, hardworking people who watch out for one another. Fixing and improving Rose Park Lane would greatly improve community morale and safety for the families that walk with their children and pets and bike and run on this trail. Repairing the sidewalk and building infrastructure to meet the needs of this busy access road would absolutely provide my neighborhood with a safe and beautiful recreation space to be proud of. Thank you so much.
Next will be Peter Caroon, followed by Nicholas Wilkinson, and then Matthew Morris. Peter, you may now unmute.
Here we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So Peter Caroon, I am commenting on item number 54, which is a shade grant for Main and Broadway. So this has to do with the northeast corner of Broadway and Main, which is arguably probably one of the more dangerous corners in the central business district. Every time I go down there, there's usually illicit activity going on in the corner there. The reason I'm involved in this is that I'm involved with the owners of the Clift building, which is the old historic building right on that corner as well. And so what we'd like to see, and the grant was submitted by the Downtown Community Council, is to see some shade elements put there, some plantings, planter boxes. And then the Clift building has agreed that it will add some seating outside to the area to try to activate it. And this will, I think, help not only the city, but also decrease some of the criminal activity that goes on there in that northeast corner of 3rd South and Main. So that's our request. We were not funded or not recommended for funding in an amount of $230,600, but we'd love to have your reconsideration of some funding for this 3rd South and Main project. Thank you.
Next will be Nicholas Wilkinson, followed by Matthew Morris, and then Kelby Gupul. Nicholas, you may now unmute.
Hello, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you for your time. My name is Nicholas Wilkinson. I'm a trustee for the Beacon Heights neighborhood as part of the Sugar House Community Council. I first want to say that as someone who has submitted multiple CIP applications and helped others submit some as well, It's a bit disheartening to see that out of 62 applications, 24 were recommended for funding by the mayor, and out of those 24, only 2 were constituent applications. Moving forward, I am here to highlight the Nevada Street Rebuild CIP application. This CIP reaches farther than just Nevada Street. It will serve a positive impact with a focus on safety for much of the East Bench, as so many families use the street for school pickup, drop-off, as well as after-school activities and weekend activities. In being one of the trustees for this neighborhood since 2020, I've heard a lot about Nevada Street. It is a direct thoroughfare for 2 schools and is a neighborhood of 4 total schools, including Hillside Middle School, Cosgriff, Beacon Heights, and Foothill Montessori School. There have been an increasing number of safety concerns brought up about the street, and to me, and with that, to the mayor's office as well, the school district, city departments, and school principals through the years. As a background, Nevada Street has been on the list of streets that need work since 2018, now currently sitting at an OIC overall condition index in the low teens, 13, with deteriorating conditions such as standing water, vegetation growing through the streets, and a never-ending amount of crumbling layers resulting in several potholes year after year. The reason I titled this CIP Nevada Street Rebuild is that the rebuild is the first thing that needs to happen to properly implement the safety improvements, ADA compliant ramps, updated painted crosswalks, coordinated and updated signage, and updated curbs for drainage, all of which would deteriorate quickly if the street was not completely rebuilt initially. Thank you for your time.
And next will be Matthew Morris, followed by Kelby Gopal, and then Evan Sugden. Matthew is here in person.
Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to say thank you, council members. It's good to see you again after my comment in June in support of the CIP program. My name is Matthew Morris. I'm from the Glendale neighborhood. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the Glendale Traffic Calming CIP project, which I submitted to the city last fall. It's centered on vertical traffic calming on 800 West in Glendale and addresses several safety concerns at other intersections throughout the neighborhood. I live on 8th West and know firsthand that speeding cars are an ongoing issue that leads to noise pollution, property damage, cars struck by speeding vehicles, animal deaths, dangerous crossings for kids, and not to mention a feeling that car traffic is generally out of control. I hope that both the council and mayor's office can find the money to support this project. My proposal was ranked #2 constituent proposal by the city's Transportation Advisory Board and the #3 constituent proposal by the city's Bicycle Advisory Committee, out of 19 constituent proposals reviewed. I'm frustrated to share that despite this high ranking, the CDCIP board chose not to recommend the project for funding. This is in stark contrast to the pleas that I heard from my neighbors while gathering signatures last fall. Neighbors literally yanked the clipboard from my hand to sign in support of this project. Most of these constituents are not here tonight, but I hope you will listen to my request in their stead. Finally, I would like to remind the council that the West Side has the greatest density of kids in our city and large families under more roofs, larger multi-generational families under single roofs, making safer streets all the more important. This project is built to be funded in phases. I hope that you will find some funding to support a piece of it, or hopefully the whole thing. Thank you for your time.
Next will be Kelby Gopal, followed by Evan Sugden, and then Mary Jo Tezesco. Kelby is here in person.
Good evening. Thank you, council members. My name is Kelby Gopal. I am a resident of the Glendale neighborhood and a member of the Transportation Advisory Board. And I'm here to ask for your support of the same CIP proposal for traffic calming that Matthew just described. I also live on 800 West, and I can confirm that this area is in great need of traffic calming measures to address speeding. We are a wide street connecting 900 South and 1300 South, so it's a busy area, but it's mostly residential. We have a lot of families and pets and many school-aged children going to and from bus stops. We are also right by the 9 line and right near Jordan Park. Slowing traffic on this street in particular, I think, is a good investment in the safety and well-being of this area, which makes a lot of sense when you consider how the city can help to facilitate more walkability, as well as safer access to transit and green spaces with the park nearby. I also think that this can help realize solutions and even directly address some of the challenges that our neighborhood faces related to public health, air quality, and social vulnerability. I can attest from how many conversations I've had with neighbors that there is a sense that our street just isn't that safe. I think that this proposal is responsive to the city and the mayor's commitment to livable streets, which we've seen come through in recent budget discussions and greatly appreciate. I hope that you will support funding for this project. Thank you for your time.
Next will be Evan Sugden, followed by Mary Jo Tedesco, and then Kim Putsuro. Evan is here in person.
Greetings once again. It's nice to be here. My name is Evan Sugden. I reside in District 7 in the Sugar House area. I'm here to once again address CIP proposal number 481244 regarding bike spas. A bike spa, by the way, is simply a secure parking area, in this case for bicycles. Last month, I addressed the council on some ideas for salvaging the core of my CIP bike proposal. Since then, I've learned that the proposal was not declined per se, but that there could still be significant resources allotted towards realizing its basic goals. The fundamental impetus for enhanced bicycle parking, in particular at the Milk Block, remains strong. Situated on the 9 line, one of the best, most heavily used bike corridors in the region, and offering tremendous and diverse commercial potential as a hub along Harvey Milk Boulevard, the Milk Block will soon be receiving customers by the hundreds, many of them arriving by sustainable transportation, especially by bicycle. Without adequate parking, bikes are likely to be in the way and or stolen. Plus, the opportunity to accelerate our current transition and transportation modes will be hampered. Some of the many businesses slated for occupancy at the Milk Block are opening this month. Salt Lake City Transportation Engineering has indicated a $58,000 budget to construct a bike spa only at the Milk Block, leaving the library project to be integrated with a pending redesign of Library Square. Again, I strongly request funding for a bike spa at the Milk Block. Thank you very much.
Next will be Mary Jo Tedesco, followed by Kim Putsuro, and then Jeff Baer. Mary Jo is here in person.
Hi, I'm Mary Jo Tedesco. I live over on 12th East in the University area. Our neighborhood put together an application for an CIP grant to fund a traffic calming area. We have some very dangerous intersections at 12th and 3rd South and 12th and 4th South. Very fast traffic, very dangerous. So we did that. But the main thing I'm actually here for tonight is to say and to put in a plug for all the other people that are here and are either here or have put in other applications from neighborhoods for traffic calming. As neighbors and people who live in the areas are the ones who know what really needs to be done. So I'm putting in a plug for everyone in the city who is asking for this kind of funding. And also to say that a strong city is one that has a strong government who can put the safety of their citizens first. Thank you.
Next is Kim Putsuro, followed by Jeff Baer, and then Tina Hernandez. Kim is here in person.
Good evening, council members. My name is Kim Putsuro, and I'm here again on behalf of over 120 neighbors who care deeply about the safety of our community and the success of the Sugar House Safe Side Street North Extension. We are number 52 in the fiscal year 2026 Mayor's Recommendation Capital Improvement Program funding log. We live along 1000 East, an iconic byway, yes, but also busy cut-through street that connects Sugar House, vibrant center to schools, parks, and homes. It's full of life. Kids biking to the park, parents jogging with strollers, walkers, joggers, and alike. But only half of the street within this block is protected by traffic calming. I've walked this neighborhood, met with families, gathered signatures, and listened to heartfelt stories from people who simply want to feel safe walking down their own street. We are asking for a consistent, complete solution because safety shouldn't stop halfway down a block. We are number 46 in the Livable Streets program. If we were to wait for the Livable Streets program to roll out, it could be another 5 to 7 years. That last speed monitoring that took place in the area was about 4 years ago. Please keep in mind there has been a lot of development since then. Our zone is considered a high-medium zone, one notch down from high. So I respectfully ask that this CIP application to be reconsidered for funding this year, and we are asking for your support. Give our neighborhood the same chance the other half has to feel safe, seen, and supported. Thank you so very much for your time and your service. Have a nice evening.
Next will be Jeff Bear, followed by Tina Hernandez, and then John West. Jeff is here in person.
Good evening. I'm here speaking on behalf of Liberty Wells Community Council. Our CIP proposal is Slow Down Liberty Wells South, number 483109. We're requesting traffic calming for 300, 400, and 600 east between 17 South and 2100 South. Vehicles cut through our neighborhood. It's 20 miles per hour. They typically go 50 miles per hour. We have 2 speed boards. We can see the speed that they're traveling through our neighborhood. We don't feel safe in our own neighborhood. To underscore the point, on June 2nd, a vehicle traveling down 400 East at high speed ran the stop sign, hit a motorcyclist, 67-year-old man, and killed him and fled the scene. We've been asking for traffic calming in our neighborhood for 18 years. And we always have been told no. We asked for bulb outs. We were told the city doesn't do that anymore. We asked for speed humps. City doesn't do it anymore. So now the speed humps went in the Sugar House, so we said, what about us? So that was the genesis of our grant proposal. And we would just like to ask that you reconsider funding. Again, it's been 18 years that we've been asking, and we get no action. And personally, on a personal note, I feel that I'll probably be dead by the time something actually happens, which is kind of sad that I feel that way, but I honestly do. So again, just request that you reconsider our proposal.
Next will be Tina Hernandez, followed by John West, and then Tom Merrill. Tina's here in person.
Hello again. My name is Tina. I last spoke to you all at the June City Council meeting. I was advocating for a crosswalk signal to be installed at the intersection of Zenith Avenue and Richmond Street in District 7. I shared my story about my 1-year-old daughter and I crossing this intersection after daycare pickup and nearly being hit by a car that failed to notice us crossing and yield to us as pedestrians. In the past month, there have been several additional close calls just like mine, involving parents and children who walk to and from this daycare center up to 4 times a day. I know the council is planning to vote tonight on specific project fund allocation within the community improvement program, and I want to make sure that this crosswalk signal at this intersection makes the cut during this fiscal year. I can't emphasize enough that all of these close calls are going to turn into fatalities soon enough. My neighborhood and I feel very supported by our councilwoman, Sarah Young, but I urge the rest of council to please come together tonight and vote in favor of this CIP application. Please vote to protect our neighborhood. Thank you.
Next will be John West, followed by Tom Merrill. John is here in person.
Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to speak to the Texas Street CIP request. It is much the same in nature and rationale as the Nevada Street to the west. And the safety issues, the school access, Beacon Heights, et cetera, it's all the same kind of rationale. The quality index for the street is around 18. And talking to the city engineers, they say around an index of 30 or 40 is where they replace the streets. So we're at 18. And I was told that we're nowhere near, it's nowhere around the table that we would ever be done. And they're the ones that told me about this CIP opportunity. So I'm hoping you will fund this. I have to say that in terms of priority, to quote an old disability advocacy slogan, it's west side, west side, west side, but not necessarily in that order. This city is overdue for west side funding, and you guys are taking action. Across the board, west side needs to be developed. There's one exception called streets. The streets on the east side generally are quite hammered. Ours is dangerous. My wife has bent a rim, hitting a pothole, and she wasn't popping a wheelie with her little Honda Civic or anything. It's dangerous, and it's time to fund the east side for streets in general terms, and specifically I'm hoping that you will fund the mat. I'll just put it together because there is an economy of scale for the Nevada Street, Texas Street combo. Thank you very much.
And next will be Tom Merrill, who's here in person.
All right, good evening, County Council. I join Mayor Caroon in advocating for the Main and Broadway Shade Project. It wasn't recommended by the CIP grant committee, unfortunately, nor was it recommended by the mayor. And we recognize that there are a lot of worthy projects to consider. It was, however, recommended by a very lovely group of old ladies that are my neighbors, that are the group that brought this project to the community council way back when. And the idea is that we want to encourage our 1,000 residents. We have in our building about 1,000 residents who are frequent patrons of Main Street. We want to facilitate their travel to Main Street, and frankly, this corner, which is probably one of the most frequented corners in our downtown area. It just doesn't match the rest of the neighborhood in terms of being an accommodating place for our older residents, our families, and anyone else that just wants to make that trek with some shade. It does align with the Urban Forest Action Plan. In fact, if you look on it, it uses this corner as an example. The Main Street pedestrian promenade concept also uses this corner as an example of urban forestry that is inviting to everyone. And so in our view, it just really seems to align with a lot of other city priorities, and we hope that you'll reconsider it here, and if not, very quickly make it into some other project so that we can really have the downtown that we know welcomes everyone. Thank you for your time.
That was the final registered commenter for this item.
Mr. Chair, could I take a point of personal privilege?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody that took the time out here, and I'm really moved by the individuals that have repeatedly applied through the capital improvement projects process, our CIP grants. Something that we've asked about and talked in our work session, and we talk frequently as a council, is separating project-based funding through CIP and that which is maintenance or departmental. And so I know there was a lot of residents that are asking the question, why haven't these projects been funded when there's such a great need to be overcome? And I'm really sad to hear that some of our neighbors don't believe that the city process is meeting the demands today. So I know my colleagues and I are dedicated to overcoming this. This is something that we discuss every year in our budget process, but I just want to thank you for the time. Thanks don't get us those solutions that we want immediately, but we are working to process and to better understand how we can better budget in the future to overcome those projects and those levels of services and demands that we see and need. We also had discussions today specifically for livable streets, which overcomes a lot of street safety and pedestrian safety that is desperately needed in our city, as we've seen fatalities rise and a lot of car-related incidents hitting non-vehicular users. So I just wanted to mention again, there is a process. Please reach out to your individual council members or us as a conglomerate. There's lots of ways to provide your comments to us. I certainly want to hear more from you and come up with a plan strategically so we can help understand what we can fund, what our departments can meet those demands, and what is on the backlog of lists of work that we need to improve as a city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pui.
So this is one of the CIP process. By the way, the capital improvement process that we have in our city is unique. Most cities don't have a way for neighbors to submit major capital projects for the municipality. So we are lucky to have one, but we don't have enough money to fund all the things. And it's always very challenging to decide which project is worth more than others. I know that all of us struggle trying to figure that out. And the process that we have set up, creating a board of neighbors to decide and to screen these applications and to score them based on a metric and to send us a recommendation, send it to the administration and the mayor for a recommendation and then send it to us is the most transparent way that we have found to find a process. Now, it is true that over the years, this city has moved in multiple directions, and it happens in all municipalities. And we decided a few years back on the traffic calming issue that post-COVID became even a more evident problem in our neighborhoods. It wasn't new, but it became a much bigger problem in our neighborhoods. In parts of my district, we have to throw pieces of metal, sheets of metal on the road for cars to slow down. To put it on context, because they were racing, literally racing through neighborhoods on the west side. Actual Fast and Furious races happening in the west side of Salt Lake, and it is a challenge to balance this all. And we discover that we needed to find some data to prioritize the neighborhoods that had the most challenges. And this council and this administration focus on database approach. We divided the city into sections and track the numbers of incidents, and then try to prioritize the funding in those pockets first, and then move up the ladder. And is it fast enough? No. It is not fast enough. Last year, we actually put extra money the state and our taxes allowed, and we put it on that topic. We just put it on that specific thing because we understand the value of this. But just to put it on context, $44 million of improvements are being made through this process out of $66 million of request. And $12.2 million go to transportation, which is this very issue. 16 go to parks improvements and deferred maintenance, and 14.6 goes to bridges and paving roads and whatnot. And when we do roads, we do them in the new way to try to improve the safety of our neighbors. And it's a very challenging thing. I don't want people to feel discouraged completely by the process, and it really is never enough money to curb this. And I tell you that you might think that your neighborhood is the worst as speeding. I think we all feel that way. Every single person here probably feels that way about our own neighborhoods. It doesn't take your own experiences. It doesn't take away your own experiences about this. And I respect that, and I relate to them. So I just wanted to tell you that we're not disconnected from your reality. It's happening in our own neighborhoods too. So I just wanted to put that in perspective and thank you for all of you that showed up and keep on pushing on this. It really has been our priority for many years now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and approve the following changes to the CIP budget. First, remove the second tranche of public land geo bonds from the key changes document. Number 2, allow the administration to use $300,000 for septet lighting. Number 3, all other funding will be discussed at the briefings as scheduled and approved at the August 19th council meeting.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Dugan and a second from Councilmember Lopez Chavez. Is there any further discussion to the motion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to state this a little bit differently for those that are here. We're not approving anything tonight, so there's regularly scheduled hearings, and you can find more information on future dockets.
Any discussion to the motion other than that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We are now at section C of the agenda, which is potential action items. The first item we have is an ordinance for mixed use or MU zoning consolidation, zoning text and map amendment. I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the mixed-use zoning consolidation petition and accompanying ordinances, including the outline changes. A, implementing a geographic specific step back in the Sugar House additional height area, which is McClellan to 13th East and 21 South to I-80, requiring a 10-foot front step back after 30 feet of height, applicable to the MU8 and MU11 zones, and requiring a 10-foot front step back after 85 feet of height as originally proposed for all other MU8 and MU11 areas. And B, setting the effective date of 3 months after adoption. And number 2, legislative action. I further move that the council adopt the following legislative actions initiating the zoning amendments for the following items as outlined in the July 8th staff report. Review interior block study for potential down zones. Update the central community master plan related to the State Streets corridor. Number 3, review on-street parking policies and ordinances regarding impacts related to new development. And legislative intent B, I further move that the council adopt a legislative action requesting the administration review and propose changes to the standards for new construction and major additions to more specifically identify appropriate setbacks and step backs when development is adjacent to contributing structures.
And just to clarify on B, that's contributing structures in historic zones, or in historic districts.
In historic districts, I will add that, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan and a second from Councilmember Pui. I know there's going to be discussion to this motion. So who wants to go first?
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment.
Councilmember Petro.
Everything else as read with a 4-month period.
A 4-month period. Is that, I get the person that made the motion it decides whether or not they want to accept it as a friendly amendment?
I was really looking to do it immediately, so I think 3 months is about as far as I can go.
We have got to decide if the housing crisis is real or not, and we know that there's LIHTC credit on the line. We know that everything else can go through and will go through and adapt. The LIHTC projects are the most vulnerable. And since we have knowledge of it, if we did something that knowingly harmed a significant project by a trusted developer and gave them good faith time to get through because of a 30-day failure of ours to extend, that would be a really terrible thing to put on my conscience. I won't be voting for 3 months. I know that 4 months is the bare minimum good faith we need for that project.
So we can still have discussion, but you don't have to accept it as a friendly amendment. And so we'll consider the motion to be 3 months. And then
So then can I do a substitute motion?
we have to vote first. But we can do we need to discuss more, I think, on this item. So who wants to go next? Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Thank you, and I appreciate the motion. I do want to clarify, one of the projects that's at risk with MU zoning consolidation is the Grove or the Northwest Pipeline building, which is the old public safety building in District 4. Now, this particular building relies on LIHTC funding. They have a deadline to meet by November 15th. Assuming everything within their project goes as articulated on their timeline scope. That is the minimum deadline. So I will not be voting for your motion because it kills a $250 million project that potentially could bring attainable home ownership in the form of condos and townhomes into District 4, on top of affordability, other mixed use and retail spaces, daycares that have been mentioned in this design and proposal. This has been in the work for 2 years now. And so unfortunately, I can't in good faith vote for this knowing that they need this deadline. Now, that has been communicated with them. I think they made a decision assuming that it had been communicated from our office that there would be an extension or that their current zoning would be extended. And due to the nature of what was discussed during our work session today, I think we know that that's not possible. So I'd like to explore what including them in a down zone could look like if we can't extend. If I would like to eventually consolidate our mixed use and to have that enacted equitably so that we're not having this discussion of 3-month, 4-month, 6-month discussion. My preference is actually to defer this vote. I think that we miscommunicated something very critical to a project and agency that's working with Hames that needs to be rectified. I think that was a mistake on our end, so I will not be voting for this today.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
So
Councilmember
this is one of the hardest things about this thing is that we're talking about the one project, but there is probably dozens of other ones that need this ordinance to be on the books to be able to get the financing. So, and it was verbalized to us in dozens of emails too. So, and while this project is amazing, and I don't want to jeopardize it as well, we are also hurting on the other side by delaying it. So there is no good way out of this one. We went through the process. We spent, pretty much the whole year working through this, communicating with the neighbors, and trying to make the sense out of this. And we are now balancing this one decision over one very important project, not realizing that if we just look through the comments that we have received, it was mentioned to us that many of them need to know what the rules are to be able to actually request the funding. So we are sort of in this very problematic place. This is a good cause. We agreed about the simplification, how we can make sense out of all of these complex zones for years now. And here we have the project in front of us. And ultimately, I was ready to support this motion to happen immediately. And I'm moving to allowing a 3-month delay in implementation. And I still confused about what that month does, because we had the opportunity to discuss this earlier today, and we didn't get to that extra month and what that will do. So I will stay on my 3-month vote and see what it fails. And if it fails, then there is another opportunity to vote.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Pui. I'll just say that the particularly difficult thing about this vote and this situation that we find ourselves in is that I think we could each vote on, we could each propose a motion that ticks all of the boxes that each one of us wants. We could have 7 different motions, and every single one of us could say that the reason that we're doing it and the reason we're phrasing it the way we are is because we're trying to address the housing crisis. And the crazy thing is that I think that would all still be true. I also am concerned about delaying because on the one hand, I have residents in my district and I have projects in my district where people are saying, you know, every day that goes by that the council doesn't implement this consolidation, it's costing us our ability to build a more affordable and more efficient project. And that is what's contributing to the housing crisis. Then we also have the Grove development on the other side of the calculation saying that if we move too quick, we're going to tank their project, which is going to provide necessary units to help us avoid the housing crisis. So we are stuck in this situation where we are trying to find what that right number is. I also, just going off of the comments that I have heard and the feedback I have heard, I would also be prepared to make this zoning effective today. I understand that some of my colleagues have helped me understand that there are projects that are that would be negatively harmed by doing that. So I don't want to stand in the way of those, but I also don't want to delay this any longer for the other projects that as Councilmember Pui said, are waiting for us to pick a date and to pick a date that's as soon as possible without harming other things that are in the pipeline to try to add more housing stock, which I think is the goal of all of us. I know that's the goal of all of us. So I feel that the 3 months is workable. I think it makes sense in light of the other discussions that we had in the work session about how long a review typically takes prior to approval. And so I'm hoping that that's the right calculation. But as I said at the beginning of my remarks, like at this point, we have anecdotes across the board and we're all trying to do the right thing. I don't think any of us wants to kill any project, but ultimately we need to make a decision, and it's going to be whichever one has the majority votes. So I would vote in favor of this. It seems like a good compromise, but I understand certainly the concerns on both sides. I do want to thank my colleagues for and Councilmember Dugan for including in that making a request to address new construction in historic districts, because I think that will help. I think it'll help alleviate some of the other concerns that we've heard about creating sort of a 2-tiered system of historic protection. I don't think we want that, and I look forward to being able to do that in subsequent proposals. So I'm planning on supporting this. Councilmember Dugan.
I appreciate everyone's comments, and my motion stands. And I appreciate also the great dialogue we've had, and we have to make a decision. And that my motion stands with that 3 months.
Sorry, hold on. I'm going to go to the council members that haven't had a chance to speak yet. Councilmember Mono, did you want to speak?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I just want to say that I know that we're kind of getting down to this last one issue, but I don't want that to overshadow all the great work that planning has done.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is a huge change for the city, and it's going to make our ordinance so much easier to understand. And I'm very excited that we've made it to tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Young.
So I have comments about the broader proposal. Is now the time to make those, or do we want to iron out the detail related to the time frame of implementation?
it's up to you. I guess if Councilmember Dugan's motion has 4 votes, then that would be the end of the discussion. So I would, so at that point, your comments would be only personal privilege. So if you want to discuss before we make the vote, now would be the time to, and it doesn't have to be just to the motion. It can be to the motion and to the overall proposal.
Okay. I'm going to hold and ask for a point of personal privilege after we're able to iron this piece out.
Okay. Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say thanks to my colleagues. I recognize this is something that came to us last minute. I'm surprised by the individuals that are charged and have been great partners with us. I think there's a big miscommunication happening in terms of the Grove. I just want to say, I wanted to ask council staff, because I don't think we reiterated, I keep hearing there's projects in the pipeline, but I haven't heard of a project of this size of the Grove. And it is unheard of for a city of our size to eliminate attainable homeownership product. That's not being built in our city. So I would ask that each of you carefully consider your vote, because we can't take this project when people of all ages cannot afford to live and purchase a home in our city. It doesn't matter if it's in District 4. And I cannot believe that we are considering moving forward rapidly. We have had ample time to work on this, and I personally have communicated with these partners. Unfortunately, they're out of the country, and they communicated last minute as of an hour ago. So to me, this is an example when City Hall can say, we're going to take the time to strategically communicate with this partner to make sure that we're not, in essence, harming or creating a barrier that would further impede a building that's been sitting dilapidated with no use, that's blighted on 300 East, that's killing the rest of this corridor in a downtown where LIHTC is really the only answer to move forward on some of these projects in the way the funding and capital gaps are being met. So I would ask that each of you reconsider. I want to defer this action so that we can implement it sooner. My preference would be not for a 3-month extension or a 6-month extension, but to wait so that we consider downzoning the site. But again, I'm just appalled that we would even consider killing a project of this size that has this great impact, that's creating homeownership products for families, a daycare, and adaptive reuse of a beautiful building that has history and character that cannot be rebuilt in our city. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Cui.
I mean, obviously, and that's not what we're trying to do here. And ultimately, it is a potential impact, what we heard, not an immediate killing of a project. And so, and it is also unclear that extra month will do anything to it. So I think we're going into this black and white, conversation here, which is none of this is black and white. And delaying the implementation is part of there is also ample examples in our email inboxes about how delaying it is also complicated and problematic. I think you are right, but I also think that there is but there is something else there. There is a lot of other examples of the other side of the argument here. And ultimately, to me, we had, I think, 8 briefings about this. And where were these concerns brought up? Know that we cannot have we have the right to bring those all the time, but where were those concerns brought up over the 8 briefings, hours long of briefings in this building through this year? So moving rapidly, it really, I don't know if that's rapidly, but, a year and a half or 2 years of work on this doesn't seem to me very rapid. So again, I'm excited about what the future, has for our city. But these are different, hard changes, and new things are always scary. And I trust our administration and the work that we put together to shape this vision to give us more housing. So again, a very challenging situation. There is not a good right answer to this, but I'm ready to vote.
There's no series of words that's going to convince anyone. We're clearly all entrenched in our views. I do have confirmation that the October 9th date that the 3-month would give us would stop this project. I can provide it to you right now. And that the 4-month would give them a good faith attempt. It does not guarantee, as you said. But fewer words. We're done. We have said as many words as we can. We are entrenched in our positions, and let's procedurally see how far we can go. I would like to know if there's a chance for me to make a substitute motion.
Yeah, I thank you for asking that question again. I do want to make sure that with the attorney's office, how does the substitute motion work? Do we have to vote on the underlying motion and then a substitute motion can be made? Or can they? Here my Robert's Rules is across the hall. If someone wants to go grab it for me.
So was there a second on the friendly amendment?
There was no second, and the maker of the original amendment rejected it.
So I think without a second of that, we go to the original motion.
Okay. So no other motion can be made until we voted on this one, right? Yeah. Okay. I guess I would say, we discussed this in the work session, and we discussed several different scenarios, and we talked about the Grove project specifically, and we talked about the other opportunities that project would have under other areas of the code. So I guess I'm just to my colleagues that I'm hearing you and saying that you think that that this is the wrong way to go about this, but we didn't have that discussion earlier, and where is this information for this discussion now?
Mr. Chair, it was addressed in the meeting earlier. The administration told us the multiple paths that this applicant will have to get to the place with the current code and with the new code. So this is why I'm just very confused about all of this, because it makes, to me, it makes no sense. The administration has reviewed this, the experts have reviewed this, and they have found a path for the project. So this is not killing the project. So this is why I'm still stuck with the original motion.
I can answer that if.
Can I beg my
I would move
colleagues?
I would move that we vote on this first, my motion. And sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give Councilmember Lopez Chavez, I guess I asked the question. We let Councilmember Pui provide one side. I'll let you speak to the other side because I heard you first.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I don't
go
want
ahead.
to take up too much time. You're right. There were lots of processes drawn. This was communicated very last minute from the partners that are involved. With LIHTC funding, it's the deadline. So it's not what we were described in the work session was related to how to achieve the parking minimums and how to overcome that. My understanding is that this is not about how they can reduce their parking minimums. Rather, this is about meeting the LIHTC funding, which is a federal grant for low-income housing tax credits. So that's my understanding, which is why I would impress upon each of you to reconsider, because LIHTC funding is probably 60 to 70% of the capital stack to fund this project. If they can't meet that, this project can't just be redesigned. They would have to abandon this parcel, and we would be left with 300 East as it plainly is. So it actually is much more complicated. It's not about addressing the parking. It's about addressing their capital stack. Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and just call the vote. So all in favor of moving forward with the vote with the with the 3-month delay, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
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 Okay, so the ayes have it, so that passes. And we'll move on to, unless anyone wants to make a point of personal privilege.
I do, yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So thank you, Chair. I just want to thank all of the residents that have come out from across the entire city to be engaged in this process over the past year. I personally have read emails, every council comment, attended our neighborhood meetings in the Sugar House area, and spoken to many individuals directly. I know how deeply people care about their communities and how hard it is when we discuss changes that could, make it look a little bit different. And I think that concern is valid, and it's something that sits with me, and I carry through all of the conversations we have here at City Council. I want to note that the mixed-use zoning consolidation has really been a long effort, but I think the version that's here tonight does represent a thoughtful and balanced compromise, one that responds to our city's urgent needs for affordable housing and the passionate calls to be able to make sure that we maintain the character and charm of the communities that we all love as residents. In particular to my district, I want to recognize the work that's gone into identifying specific areas that we feel can accommodate the greater height while also being thoughtful about our existing historic charm that has been so important to my neighbors and residents in District 7. The targeted increases that we're looking at, they're not arbitrary. They really are part of a deliberate approach to focus the growth around transit areas, around businesses that are seeking out more and more customers to be able to help them, especially through times of construction. And that by adopting specific setback designs like the 10 feet in relation to Highland, we're really protecting historic places like Sprague Library and the historic post office that hold a lot of meaning for the residents. I also want to highlight that it's important to me in being a representative on City Council that we also are taking effect of our responsibility to the people who make this city work, our teachers, our firefighters, our social workers, the public servants who deserve a chance to live in the communities that they serve. The zoning we approve will create more flexibility for housing, including tools to support affordable units and places that make long-term sense for growth. And it sets the conditions for a future that allows for our children to have hope for living in Salt Lake City. I know zoning doesn't solve every issue, and I know that change is challenging, but I believe the vote reflects that the city listens, adjusts, and chooses to grow with intention. I want to reaffirm my commitment to making sure that as we grow, we invest in the appropriate infrastructure, preserve our cultural landmarks, and stay accountable to the people that we serve. I'm very, very grateful to every single member of the city staff who worked tirelessly and for hours in responding to all of the questions, concerns, and comments that we received from citizens. Thank you for doing your due diligence tonight, and I look forward for what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Young. We have a request from the Recorder's Office to clarify the two council members that are joining us remotely what your votes were. I heard Councilmember Mono vote as a yes to the motion proposed by Councilmember Dugan.
That's correct.
Okay, and then I heard Councilmember Young vote as a no. Is that correct?
That is correct, related to the 3 months.
Okay, is that what? Okay, great. Okay, thank you for that clarification. We will move on to Section D, which is comments. We have questions to the mayor from the city council. Does anyone have a question? No? Okay. Thank you for being here. And now we have questions to the city council. So this is our general comment period. So anybody that's here to speak to any issue that is not on the agenda for a specific public hearing, now is your chance. So I'll just ask council staff if you'll just go ahead and start calling the names in the order received.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 2 people registered. The first will be Krista Cook, followed by Stephen Otterson. Krista is here in person.
Thank you for having me. I'm Krista Cook with Rose Park Baseball. Woohoo! And it's our 70th year. Rose Park Baseball is a rec league, and so its whole mission is to have access for anyone and everyone, regardless of skill level, gender, economic status. It's a come one, come all. And it's, once again, our 70th year, and for about all 70 of those, nearly, Neil Draper has supported our league as a sponsor, and that is a name that will live in infamy in Rose Park. It is a name that is revered, and I'm super excited that Victoria Petro and our community has rallied behind the idea of naming our ball field, which I think is the greatest honor that could ever be bestowed on someone. Neil Draper has sponsored these teams so that kids can play. And when they're playing, they're too busy to get into trouble. And they get to know their neighbors, and they stay active, and they stay off of screens, and they have fun together. And so I don't think there's a greater thing in this world you could support, and he supported for so many years. The entire family has supported us, has supported these people right here and all of their buddies. So I just wanted to say yay for Neil Draper, and I hope y'all will do the right vote. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. And thank you, Drapers.
Thank you.
Next will be Stephen Otterson, who's here in person.
And congratulations as well. It's not what I came up to say, but congratulations. I'm actually kind of excited about something that I meant to come to the 2 o'clock meeting, but I have to work. I'm very excited about the ballpark community design plan. In particular, there is one little text in a footnote that talks about the 400 units being multi-home ownership models. In particular, what I'm excited about is the concept of co-ops. And I'm hoping that as a city, we're taking this concept seriously, because I see this as an opportunity for us to really create housing that people, renters, have the ability to own where they live. When you're in a co-op, you are a shareholder of that co-op. You have a voting right. Unfortunately, you all, as well-meaning as you may be, you don't have the ability to protect our renters. The state legislature has already made that clear. There's no opportunity for you to create rent controls. But when the renters are shareholders of the apartment complex that they live in, and they have voting rights, they can protect themselves. So the reason I wanted to get up here today was to talk about how excited I am about that. And in particular, I want to point out that this is something that could exist anywhere where there is an apartment complex. Any apartment complex could be turned into cooperative housing. What we need, though, is an example. We need an example that's not off in New York, where many of those examples are. We need an example right here that runs well, so that lenders can see the opportunity that exists to allow owners to be shareholders in the apartment complexes where they live, to allow them to own where they live. I want to take that little piece of the plan that's right now a footnote, and I want to make that a headline. And I hope you're all excited about doing that as well. Thank you very much.
And that was the final register commenter.
Oh, okay. Well, that brings us to, we do not have any new business. We do have section F, which is unfinished business, a resolution naming the northeast baseball field at Riverside Park, the Neil Draper Field.
Chair?
Yes.
I move that the council adopt a resolution naming the northeast baseball field at Riverside Park as the Neil Draper Field.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Petro, a second from Councilmember Pui. Is there any discussion to this?
Yes.
Councilmember Petro.
So About a weekend and a half ago, I had the chance to go back to my hometown in the Hudson Valley of New York. And in addition to seeing my baby cousin, who's now 26, for her baby shower, I drove past Reschetti Park, where I, as a 6-year-old chick, caught the foul tip that won us the World Series in New Windsor. The memory is so core, I still literally feel pride and feel like I might be an athlete based on that one experience. When I was choosing where to raise my kids, Rose Park had the same feeling as Reschetti Park, as that memory for me. And I realized that doesn't happen. We talk all the time up here with degrees and philosophies and theories about how to make place. The truth is, Rose Park has been making place since its inception, and the Draper family is pivotal to that. Neil's Pro sits on the corner of 600 North and 1200 West, directly across from the Smiths. It is a landmark for any of you who even just wander through our neighborhood. More than that, it is the only reason I have a running car, and I'm pretty sure the Cooks can attest to that, and so many of my other neighbors. Chris literally delivered my car to my house when I was out of town. His service is so full. They've not only supported us and been the embodiment of everything that is the best of us, which is we are the engine that keeps not just the city, but this county and the state running with our hard work and determination. And then he turns around and selflessly gives back, making sure that the young people coming up have ways to positively identify themselves. Anyone who just reads headlines about our neighborhood draws really bad conclusions about our youth and about what happens there. But the Draper family has repeatedly invested, making sure that the strength of our youth, the talent of our youth, the promise of our youth has an outlet. And so now for us to be able to turn around and make sure going forward, your family name, your patriarch's name, is seen, read, remembered, and honored for what you've done for us. Thank you for giving me a place to raise my family. Thank you for all of the generations you nurtured. I'm going to read the resolution that will be recorded in honor of him. So it says, whereas Salt Lake City Code 3.65 creates a process for the naming of major city assets, which includes a city-owned sports field, whereas under City Code 3.65, the mayor must provide the city council with 15 business days notice of intent to name a major city asset, and the city council may either allow 15 days to pass, at which point the mayor may name the major asset, or the city council may determine that the major asset should be named through a legislative process, which is what we're doing here. Whereas Mayor Erin Mendenhall provided the city council notice of her intent to name the Northeast Baseball Field in Riverside Park Neil Draper Field in recognition of Neil Draper, who died on March 3rd, 2025. Mr. Draper was a longtime operator of Neil's Pro Service, a neighborhood business that continues to serve the Rose Park neighborhood under the ownership of his son. Whereas the City Council, with consent from Mr. Draper's family, has determined that the naming of the Northeast Baseball Field at Riverside Park should be done pursuant to a legislative process, and finds that there is good cause to name the field Neil Draper Field. Now therefore be it resolved by the Salt Lake City Council that the Northeast Baseball Field at Riverside Park shall be henceforth known as the Neil Draper Field. I'd like to invite his daughter, Susan Marshall, up.
Council members, especially Council Member Petro, for this incredible opportunity. My name is Susan Draper Marshall, and I am Neil Draper's daughter. I have with me tonight my mother, who celebrated 74 years of marriage to my dad just weeks before he passed. Also, my brothers Kent and Scott and his wife Jolene, my brother Chris's wife, Afton, several grandchildren, and even some great-granddaughters, and also my husband, who supports me. Missing are our brothers Chris and our sister Peggy, who are probably watching down on us today. Our dad had a habit of coughing whenever he was emotional, so I'm sure he is smiling down and coughing right now. My parents were not rich. There were times when we were younger, they would have to go to the bank and withdraw all of their savings so they could buy a load of gas. to be able to stay in business. When any of the other station home owners that my dad knew were buying boats and taking nice vacations, Daddy was buying baseball jerseys, hats, and making sure there was a snow cone waiting for them after their games. No matter where we were in this world, there was always someone who would come up and say, "Neil Draper, I played on your baseball team." When his Alzheimer's got bad and someone would say that to him, he would smile from ear to ear. And if anybody knew my dad, he had big ears, so he smiled big. Rose Park was not the only place our dad shared his love. All of us Drapers attended Granite High School, and he made sure our brothers' teams were taken care of. His grandsons from West Jordan, Olympus, Cypress, and he even donated to West High School, one of our big rivals. He also helped sponsor 3 rugby teams, and my dad knew nothing about rugby, but he made sure that his grandsons were taken care of. He sponsored Olympus High School, Highland Rugby, and also the University of Utah. His pride and joy was always at Rose Park, and he would proudly display the team pictures along the wall of the front office. Thank you so much for keeping the legacy of our dad alive. We will hold this forever in our hearts, and what a legacy for his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and soon to be a great-great-grandson coming soon. Thank you.
Chair, we have
Hold on.
flowers for Mrs.
Yes,
Draper.
yes, I do, but other people want to speak to it. Do we want to give
Yeah,
the flower?
that was just saying that's the end of mine. I'm going to go give
Oh,
this to
okay,
Mr.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I would just want to highlight, Victoria's work bringing this to us and bringing this to the whole city. I know we rarely disagree on votes with Victoria, and today was one of those. But there is something amazing about her that, she has her community at hand first, and she's really championing the voice of West Siders, and I'm very proud to count her as a friend, although she might be a little upset today. But I really think that I'm very thankful. And I remember a couple of weeks ago when we discussed this, I was a little worried because I didn't know. I was worried about names. I was worried about naming something and learning. But thank you for bringing this to us. You are a rock for the West Side.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to this?
Wonderful.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to
Can we take a picture with the family after the consent agenda vote?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have one more vote that we need to make. It is consent agenda, so we all are going to vote the same way, so you don't need to worry about the prolonged debate that you witnessed earlier.
You all are rock stars.
And then we would love to get a picture with you after that. So if you can stick around for just a few more minutes. We are to the consent portion of our agenda. I'll look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Lopez Chavez, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We'd love to get a picture with you. Thank you for being here.
Council Chair.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I believe we missed a vote for the item F1.
What?
Oh, we never voted on
We never voted on what?
We didn't vote on naming the field. We had conversation.
Oh my
Never
gosh.
took the vote.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, good thing I did not bang the gavel. Okay, we're gonna go back to the unfinished business. You made the motion and I think it was seconded. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we will take the picture and we'll stand adjourned. Thank you. Yes. That was very nice of you. I don't know if she heard most of it. I'll listen later.